So I am going to explain how to use the gradient map adjustment today. So we always try to do non-destructive editing. So anytime I add an adjustment, I either add an adjustment layer down here, the little black and white cookie icon, and then I can add, gradient map, whatever I want. Or if I make something a smart object, then I can go into image adjustments and add it that way, gradient map. Either way works fine. I kind of like just having the layers there so I can kind of see everything going on. But if you like to keep a clean file, either way works, and you can hide the adjustments to smart objects easily. But I'm going to add this gradient map, and right now you can see I have my default colors here, D for default colors to get to black and white, so that when I go to my gradient map it is a black and white default. Now if you default your colors and it still doesn't give you a black and white default, there's this little caret here next to it. You can click on that, and then you have these options. You can select different gradient maps that are kind of preloaded. This is a later version of Photoshop, so it might just be like you have some swatches in here rather than these folders, but the basics folder, or this is the one that you're looking for, this black to white gradient. And then once you fill that, you can click on the gradient, and again, all I did to launch that window was I clicked on this thing, clicked on this gradient here after I had it. And sometimes you might have like the opposite gradient and there's no other selections. You might just have this gradient here, and that's kind of like inverted, which is weird. But let's say you only have this swatch as your black and white swatch, you can click on reverse here and that will just flip it. So again, different ways to play around with how you get this black and white. But what you're doing is you're starting with that black and white. I'm going to turn this on and off really quickly just so you can see that it's still picking up all the dark tones and all the light tones of the image, though it's turning it black and white. But the point of using this is to actually add color. So I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to click somewhere in the middle here, and it'll default to adding a black or a white swatch, but I could either double click this little square in here, or I can just click on this once and it will launch the color editor, and now I can pick a color in here. And that is overall like giving you like this kind of mid-tone color. So you can see the darks are still made up out of black, because looking at this gradient, the darks are black and the lights are made up out of white, and the midtones or the main color of this is going to be whatever color I just added. So I'm going to start with red for now, that's fine. But if you really want to fine tune this, you can, instead of using black and white, you can make this darker color, a dark red, and I'm just going to bring this all the way up to red, and select a darker red here, and then instead of white, I'm going to select like a lighter kind of red here, not fully white. So again, it's kind of like being more true to what was going on in the first place. So I'm gonna hit OK, and again, I'm gonna turn this on and off so you can see I've really kind of repeated like a similar kind of color range. And the beauty of these tools is you can always just click on this again and go and edit it in your properties. So I'll click on that gradient again, and know that even though I just added this to the center just so it's the exact midpoint of this gradient, if I drag it to the left or right, you can see how that affects the background, right? If I drag it towards this end, it's giving you more of this darker tone in it. If I drag it towards this end, it's giving you like a lighter tone. So you can play around with that and see what it feels right. But it's the easiest way to add an overall color effect to anything that you're trying to change the color of. And unlike hue saturation, it won't give you these unpredictable like greens or purples or whatever like colors might be adjacent to the colors that you're trying to switch it from. So this will just put this overall color, and no matter what color is underneath it, it's gonna pick up this color, right? Even if I added like you can see I have this blue layer. Let's say I add like a little green, I'm just gonna add a green square into here, and you can see even though this is green here, it's picking up this red gradient map. So again, anything you put this color on will affect everything underneath it. So I'm going to show you now, just like on some other images. I already have some preloaded selections, but for the tomato here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make it red, But I'm going to hit D for default color, so it's not the green, and then I'm going to add my gradient map, and then again it's black and white, but I will click on this and I will add a point to the middle, and I will click on the color and I will make it red, and you know, again, it does a great job at just making everything red. And again, I can go click in here and make this like a dark red so it's not black, you know, so just cleaning up these bits so it doesn't look like unrealistic. And the white's fine because actually there's this kind of like white going on, and I can push it over a little bit so it's not so white. But if I want to, I can go in and I can make this like a faint tone of the red too, so maybe it does look a little bit more realistic, but I think the white is okay too. So that's pretty easy. I'm gonna hit OK, and then again, that's an adjustment I can turn on and off really easily. And then lastly, I'm just gonna go to this image here of these sneakers, and again I have the preloaded selection, and I'm going to add a gradient map, and again default black and white. I will click that, add a point in the middle, and then change the color to anything I want. You know, it could be like purple. I'm gonna click OK, and again, like, because this is so dark, I might want to just like drag it over so that more of the lighter color is showing. But again, you can see it's like overall just giving you like that perfect like color change of everything. There's no unpredictable colors popping up in there like it happens with hue saturation sometimes. And that is basically how you can use gradient maps to do sweeping color changes to different parts of your images.